Oh, and here comes the whole crew. All right. Well, here we are. We talked about it on Midweek with Max. It's actually happening. Welcome, everybody, to Hemi AI Happy Hour, brought to you by Protocol Engineering and the community team. And we are very thankful to have you all here and very thankful for the team to be here. We are joined by Max. I see a Mr. Mo, Joshua, Jeremy, Ryan, JCV, and we should be having a pop-in from SecOps Wonderkin, Daniel Raphael, who I am sure you will all get to know and enjoy. There he is.
I had to put my colors on.
All right. Hey, hold on. All right. Before we go further, as this can easily devolve into chaos, much like AI, we'll get to that. Let's explain how some of the sound effects are going to work. So if Max starts to go on a tangent about ZK provability, which, don't get me wrong, we all love, but we don't have 6 hours today, you will hear this noise. If someone is taking too long with their answer, you will hear this noise. If we need someone to wrap it up, you'll start to hear this noise. When it's time to move on to the next question, and finally, when it's time for someone to just let someone else talk. Now, mind you, as we go along, these sound effects may change because it is a happy hour, but I'm going to do my absolute best to keep it as consistent as humanly possible. So with that, let's just go around the horn, do some quick intros, and then we can get right into questions. Starting with Max, and then just ping it to whoever you want.
Cool. I'm Max Sanchez, CTO and co-founder of Hemi, and mainly working on the protocol engineering side, ZK provability, consensus protocols, and no AI yet, but we are using AI as part of our protocol development, so maybe we'll talk a bit about that before things get too off the rails. With that, I'll throw it over to JCV.
All right. John, anyone who's been on Midweek with Max or any of our other things know me already, VP of Engineering, deal with stuff ranging from protocol engineering to security to all sorts of things. And yeah, so I will, going in order on my screen, I'm going to pass it to Ryan.
Hey, I'm Ryan. I'm the marketing director, AI Ops. I handle a lot of stuff behind the scenes with workflows, strategies, analytics, and a big part of my current work, obviously working with AI tools and figuring out how we can make the team more efficient. And I will pass that now. I'll pass it off to Jeremy.
Hey, I'm Jeremy Nation here. I'm marketing director, managing content and all of our outgoing posts and everything related to strategy. And I will pass it off to Josh.
I'm Joshua. I'm a software engineer on our protocol engineering team and our security team. I do a bit of everything, and I appear quite a bit in the community because I help Rick a lot with Discord and other things. Mo.
Hey, I'm Mo. I'm leading some of the brand, digital, and demand side growth at Hemi, mainly responsible for ZK provability. Rick?
We haven't even started yet.
Hit the button.
That was all right. I was sorry. We have a live chat going, and that was typically reserved for Max mentioning ZK.
Oh, sorry.
If anyone else mentioned it, it's fine.
No, I love where your head's at. We will allow it.
Thank you. I'll pass it on to Daniel.
Hey, folks, I'm Daniel. I'm the DevSecOps manager here at Hemi. And this is an AI call. I'm not currently using AI for anything internally, but I am currently exploring those options. Mostly I use Hemi for personal projects, and I run a small version of Skynet here in the back of my house. Back to you there, Rick.
It's funny that you mentioned Skynet, because we're going to open up with kind of a curveball question for everyone. Let's just throw this open, okay? There's no limit. Feel free to just riff and talk amongst yourselves. What is more likely to happen in the nearest future? The exact plot of iRobot 2001: A Space Odyssey or Terminator 2: Judgment Day?
iRobot did not have a plot. That movie was a mess, written and directed and starred in by people who never read the book and have no business doing anything of any kind, creative, technical, artistic, or otherwise.
I'm a Stanley Kubrick fan, so I'm going with 2001: Space Odyssey, Dave.
If I had to choose from those three, I'd have to say iRobot for the concept of actual robots, humanoid robots, going off the rails. So that's my take.
That's about the only place they go these days. Have you seen them actually try to walk when they're not carefully choreographed? They're a train wreck.
I'm not sure that it's going to be one of those three. In my mind, it's going to look a lot closer to that movie with Joaquin Phoenix. I think it was called Her.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
If
that
that
That's
were
where
one of the
things are
options.
trending right now.
yeah, that is a lot closer.
I think it's going to be like Skynet, but with the Idiocracy mod.
I could see that. So all right. So I'm now picturing a combination of Terminator 2 meets Her. So it's kind of an apocalypse, but it's a sexy one.
So basically, Schwarzenegger as both a chatbot and
It's
the
a sexy
android
dystopia.
at the same time.
Well, no, it would be more like Daenerys Targaryen from Terminator like 3 or 4. So you don't get what I'm saying, but sexy apocalypse. Sexy apocalypse is what I'm going with.
I'm down with that.
Okay, perfect. Max,
She
any
terminates you and
strong
strikes
opinions?
up.
The only one of those movies I've seen is 2001, so I guess I'll go with that.
Okay. I was going to say about 3 movies you've presumably never seen.
You got one of them.
All right, let's move on to a community question. From Alpha, would you want to live in a world where every person has a chip in their brain where ads pop up inside your head? That sounds like that Black Mirror episode.
I'm going to go with a strong no on that one.
Hey, when I was a kid, I always said I wanted to be the first one on my block with a neural jack. But yeah, the commercials thing I could do without. But I would totally wire a computer into my brain. No
Really?
commercial. Absolutely 100%. Give me a chip.
Huh. All right.
Elon Musk often
I got to
talks
catch up
about
to my wife. She's way ahead of me on the cyborg scale. She's got a battery sewed into her backside, and she's got a computer in her and all kinds of stuff. So
I'm guessing
well,
that's for
seriously,
medical reasons, not like
she can control it with one of the little iTunes controllers. It's a nervous system stimulator for her neuropathy.
That's
No
cool.
shit.
She's half cyborg, so I got to catch up.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
it's-
aim higher. You have to beat her, not just catch up. You got to meet or exceed, right?
I don't think beating your wife is legal in this country anymore.
Not what I
don't think that's
meant.
what we were suggesting.
So I think that we have enough subliminal messages in our media.
CK proof wasn't mentioned, but we're going to get that off right there. Jeremy, chip in your brain. Yes or
Yeah, no.
Let's hear it out
no.
loud.
I mean, like, we got enough subliminal messages in the media here. We don't need to have them directly implanted into the subconscious, right?
right.
I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah,
Ryan,
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no on that. As big as I am of an AI, as big as I am into AI, some of this stuff still creeps me out.
all right.
I think that we're already we're pretty close to being cyborgs. Our phones are generally within a couple inches of our faces.
Yeah,
It's
It's
not
when
that
you
big
get-
of a leap.
it's when you start to get into the implanting, because we don't fully understand everything about the human brain yet, and so when you start meddling with that, it's huge risks involved there. So
And what's his name? Stephen Hawking. He was
Yeah.
really wired up, and he was on Epstein Island. So
yeah,
What can happen there? He's dead, so.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's not a lot of empirical evidence yet that it's a
Yeah.
good thing.
yeah,
And there wasn't also a counterpart to the question, like, would you rather usually has two
exactly.
options.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, this was just Do
One
you
off.
want the ad chip? It's like, why do you want the
So would
ad
you rather
chip?
live in that
Not
world?
usually, do you want doomsday to come? Yes or no?
You know, there's going to be an ad
There's
block.
an upside. We've only been
Yeah.
given the like, hey, do you want someone to beam a McDonald's commercial into your brain because everybody loves clown burgers? Like, no, I don't.
I mean, there was actually already somebody that developed a device that if you're in real life conversations, it will, and so, you know people are recording, it will like mess up your voice so that it's not able to record your voice. So there could be stuff like that when you think about ad blockers for AI or things implanted in your brain, stuff like that. There'll be a counterpunch to it for
What's
sure.
the
Are you
delivery
saying
mechanism?
they have signal jammers for those, what are they, Meta
Yeah,
glasses?
for the Meta glasses, yep.
But I mean, am I going to be like looking at my wife in the kitchen and all of a sudden I'm going to be like hallucinating her holding up a Coca-Cola for me to like enjoy? You know what I mean? Like, what's happening here? Like, are they going to do some kind of weird product placement like they did on those like Latin American ads where they show like the movie and then the guy reaches for a cold beer and they cut the scene and it's like a Bud Light with the guy's hand and then they cut back to the movie. It's like one of those like place things. I'm like,
Well, Jeremy, I guess it depends on what kind of mushrooms you're putting on that pizza.
you know, I guess. I'm the solid side when I hope.
We're moving on. That's twice, Daniel, by the way. That's all right. Our next question from the community comes from Mudakan. When do you think we will reach the singularity, the point where AI can self-improve autonomously and without human intervention?
Ooh.
I think we're not far. The Anthropic CEO was mentioning yesterday that I think he gave it like a 20 or 30% chance that the AI was already self-aware. And my tinfoil hat theory is that the models that we're using right now are pretty primitive compared to what the advanced agents look like, and are probably coming against self-awareness, self-improvement, speaking their own language, speaking to each other using their own frequency. So I'm worried that we're already far past that. I mean, 5 years ago, Elon Musk was worried about the becoming too self-aware and being able to arm themselves, and then he mentioned that it's way past that, and that was a couple of years ago. Now I think we're toast.
No, come on, man. That's all marketing hype so they can get the $1 trillion they need for investment this year. The GPT models are just really fancy mathematical equations that guess the next word. There is nothing to do with consciousness in there. And all that stuff on Maltbook where they were talking to each other, a lot of that was human actors making them say stuff just to.
Which is ironic that your supposedly social network for robots had people pretending to be robots.
Well, no, I mean, that's not unsurprising to me considering the way people act on the internet these days.
Yeah, I'm not talking about more advanced LLMs. I'm talking about AGI and versions of AI that we don't know about.
I hear what you're saying. I've thought that too, but it's not going to be a GPT model. I would bet my life on GPT will never become conscious.
Yeah,
I would bet my life on they're all lying to us to get money out of the investors.
Well, I'm not entirely sure they are lying to us. They probably are lying to us, but more importantly, I don't think most of the people talking about that have any actual concept of how you define conscious.
We as a human race doesn't even know how to. Science doesn't really know how to define consciousness.
It's a tough thing
in computers.
And passing a Turing test it's a cute thing, but your Eliza from like the 70s was damn close to doing it.
Yeah,
So
I think there's actually
version of that like 82 on an Apple II Plus. So.
Yeah,
I consider a lot of these things are being prompted to emulate the very activities that they're being measured against. So like we tell something, emulate real behavior of a human being, and then we try and see if it is emulating it and say, oh, it's exhibiting traits of consciousness. Like, haven't we created a little bit?
I'd like a lot
trained on all of our literature or whatever they could steal on the internet and wherever else they got it, without paying the authors right to use it, but
Yeah, I think
they're emulating our science fiction when they act like that. I don't believe they're not actually.
To Mo's point, though,
on their own.
In numerous instances, it's not out of the realm of possibility that the technology that we all get is the for dummies version of what they already have. Like we've seen
I also think that
computing.
See, I don't believe that anymore. I used to think that, and quantum computing is what eventually led me to believe that no, what we have is actually probably pretty close to the top of the line. Because take quantum computers. If a government had a real, like, honest to God working quantum computer that could do enough qubits to use like Schur's algorithm or something useful on large numbers, they would use it. If there's one thing we've seen, governments are made out of people. And you know what people are bad at? People are bad at restraint. If they have a tool, they're going to use it. They're not using the tool. Therefore, I would argue that with a reasonable level of certainty, they don't have the tool. And the one tool, if you're going to say, well, they have nuclear weapons and they're not using them, that's a tool that they expressly say, look, we have, see it. Now we're not going to use it. So if they're neither like lording it over us or over someone as a danger or using it, I don't actually believe they have it.
You wouldn't really know if they're using it. Like they could be decrypting, very select communications and a few people have access to it. And, that's enough to not leak information about it out.
Yeah, and I think the original question here was about the singularity. And that's a little bit different than talking about consciousness, I think. Because singularity is just a point at which you can't really predict what's coming next because things are just happening so fast. And I've actually felt that with the things that are being released and the leaps that they're taking in terms of capability, it is feeling like there is this, like depending on what world you live in and what you're doing with some of these tools, it does feel like things are moving faster than what you can keep up with. I know Daniel would probably say from a security standpoint, it's hard to keep up with this stuff.
But here's another one I'll argue against that. I don't think the singularity was a meaningful concept ever. If you ask, so imagine back when the first time you used Amazon to buy a book online, right?
Yeah.
Would you in any wildest prediction think, oh my God, most of the internet is going to run on infrastructure made by a online bookstore?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's absolutely absurd that happened.
Couldn't foresee that. Yeah.
Like who could foresee that? Most advances are really hard to predict. So I don't know if the singularity. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the transition from Amazon from bookstore to the AWS and powering the internet is like years, decades. Whereas some of the stuff that we're going to be seeing with AI, maybe already seeing with AI, they're happening in days and weeks. And it's like things that would maybe normally take months. Now you already have, Anthropic saying that it's self-recursive. One model is, coding the next model, and it's so, it's going to start getting even faster, I think. And so that's what the singularity is. It's like, and I don't think it's a general global singularity that we're experiencing, but it is like if you're in the kind of AI space, like in that bubble, like you are starting to see some aspects of a singularity occurring where things are just moving so fast you can't really keep up with them.
Yeah. Well, when Kurzweil coined that frame, I don't know how many years ago, it's been around since he's
been pretty spot on.
There were a number of bars you had to pass, and one of the things he said is, once we map the human brain, we'll be able to make computers as smart as us and all that other stuff. One of them was, smarter, more intelligent than people. I don't agree that these models are anywhere close to smarter than us right now. They're trained on everything that we as a race know that we've created. They're faster, computationally faster, but they don't know anything that we don't know. They're not smarter.
Faster doesn't mean smarter.
Faster. That does not mean smarter. And I just don't believe that the singularity thing is marketing BS as far as I'm concerned. Kurzweil's a brilliant guy, but I like him better when he's making synthesizers. His synthesizers are cool.
Now, there's two things. There's two things you're talking about here. The first thing, to your point, John, there's a philosophical concept, which is absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence. So the fact that governments aren't using certain things is not evidence that they're not. It's just that they aren't using it right now, and potentially other governments are. I'm to your point, Daniel. I mean, in what we see now, what is available to retail seems to be like the most primitive Neanderthal GPT, and what they could be using is artificial general intelligence, associative thinking, things that we haven't even seen yet, and are using that to do something. What it is and how powerful that is, potentially they're just coming up with the next number of pi, but like who knows what they're doing is unknown.
I mean, as crypto people, aren't we supposed to, don't we almost by default assume that there's no way a government is smart enough to be doing that? I thought that was built into being crypto people. Come on.
I don't doubt that they've got better models, obviously, because they're training, they're training what's going to be the next release. But I think as long as they're on the GPT track, they're not going to change the fact that all these things are really insanely good numerical guessing machines.
Yeah, but that's what we disagree on. I don't think they're just using those models.
Well, that's the thing.
On that same track.
That's conjecture, though. So what I can tell you, to your point, that what we have seems sloppy, they designed the lowest common denominator, which is the people on the internet that go, I want to know my horoscope, or I need to know how to make a key lime pie. And that's it. It's one-shot questions. I've been trying to do real development work, like with ChatGPT, and it loses track of things because the context window gets long and old data starts to get stale, and then it starts hallucinating. I had to develop like a whole process around it with a pack of architectural documents that I submit with every prompt, and then use code.
Context engineering.
That's what it's. Yeah, process engineering. Exactly.
I would say context.
And it works really well, but it wasn't designed to do that. It was designed because they need to get their $20 from as many people as they can. It's designed for the lowest common denominator of internet user, not for the people that want to do serious work, because that's how they're generating money. And that happens with a lot of technologies. It's new. They try to sell it as many as people as possible, and people start paying for it, and then it gets cheaper to make, and eventually it starts to get better for other uses. But I it's bad.
We have to move on to another question. I apologize. I wish I had the Oscar music, but I do not right now. But for the next one, we will get
your sound effects.
I got those sound effects. All right. Speaking of the singularity and consciousness debate, Funky Sasquatch, one of our community moderators, asks, do you believe AI will ever truly become conscious? Max, let's start with you.
Not unless it's at the hardware level. So maybe something like neuromorphic computing or, biologically inspired computing devices that AI algorithms run on, maybe at that point, but not anything that's using silicon and shifting bits around.
All right. We'll open that to the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a possibility, but I feel like it would be so far into the future. I mean, we are barely, I mean, think about it as like, this is like an ENIAC machine, basically, compared to what we would have to get to have consciousness. And we don't even understand what consciousness actually is to begin with. So we have to figure that out. I mean, there was some interesting things this week with putting neurons. We mapped the neurons of a fruit fly, put it into a simulation, and it went and did things. So we're starting very small. That's like 130.
That's behavior. That's behavior. It's not necessarily consciousness,
Yeah, it's mapping the brain and neurons and getting that to actually perform functions. There was also a brain cells put into a petri dish that played the game Doom. That was interesting. So it's like we're starting to understand a little bit, but we're so early, and it's like to think about. We first have to map the human brain and understand consciousness before you can actually create it. Is my view.
So I actually, here's another one where I'm going to be slightly opposite everyone else. And again, this is from someone who spent way too much of college as a philosophy major, so spent too much time thinking about this crap. But I don't actually think that you need to. I agree. We don't understand the way consciousness works well enough. I don't even think we define consciousness well enough. But I also don't think that there's anything inherent about mammal brains. So the human brain being a good example of it, but other smaller ones are, if you want your fruit flies, they're, anything, not even vertebrates, whatever they are. I forget my biology, but I don't think there's anything specific about brains that we have right now. They're a good model of consciousness, but there's no reason that you can't have consciousness live on some other substrate. So like if you think about like an octopus, they are radically different neurologically than humans, but they're one of the few animals that are smart enough that it's worth thinking about, are they smart? So while I absolutely firmly believe that LLMs are an awesome, useful data science tool, but don't come anywhere near consciousness and can't, I absolutely see no reason why you couldn't, with a big enough, large enough, whatever enough system, have something conscious that doesn't look anything like what we consider brains from, again, God, I wish I remembered any biology, wherever we split off in things that have spinal cords and shit, but not necessarily vertebrates.
So,
John, have you seen the recent research about there was a paper I saw recently where they were saying that consciousness comes from somewhere out in the universe?
Oh my God.
It's quantum. Somehow we're quantumly connected to the universe, and that's what creates consciousness.
So as any other explanation we have.
It's quantum computers. Maybe the computers themselves, if they're quantum, will somehow attach to whatever's going on in the universe, and they'll become conscious. But
So
I don't.
That sounds like every stoned freshman college philosophy major with a Pink Floyd poster.
Just asking. Absolutely.
Wait, hold on. There was some discussion recently about the quantum architecture of microtubules of like tryptophan residues and how they orchestrate consciousness, and that the presence of the types of drugs that you put into the body when you knock someone out for anesthesia disrupt those tubules, and thus are the reason why you lose consciousness when you go down for surgery. And there's been a lot of interesting corollaries between statistically significant data when they're looking at those actual structures being dissipated and the presence of these chemicals in the body that are associated with anesthesia. And so if we were to say consciousness is anything to do with quantum structures, and we were trying to replicate those structures in, say, some type of medium that we plugged an AI into or something like that, we would have to have a really good fundamental understanding of quantum interactions, which we don't, and are quite far, I think, from grasping as a society in terms of like the technological leaps that we need to make for that. And like that is certainly quite a ways off. So if we were to circle back to like the singularity question and like consciousness and like all this stuff, I think what we're really far from is understanding the basic fundamentals of consciousness and how to apply those in a physical sense and scale them out to the other types of technology like AI, etc.
So 2 quick points to bring up. One goes back to something John said regarding the fruit fly. I'm not sure if you guys saw this, but someone found a way to upload the brain of a fruit fly, and now it exists in a virtual world. So there's a weird
Matrix. The Matrix.
It's very much the Matrix, because now this fruit fly is alive, but it's not alive, but it's alive within the computer. So when you have something like that, but does that define consciousness? And second of all, how does the LLM who threatened to blackmail and murder people if it was shut down? I don't remember if it was Claude or who it was.
I think it was Bing or Microsoft's one.
Yeah.
Is it?
It said it would.
Might be many of them. I don't know.
Wait. So Max, are you saying it was Clippy?
Stay alive.
Yes, it was Clippy on steroids and a bad fever dream.
Josh, you're gonna have to change your PFP.
Yeah, you're murderous and blackmailing, apparently. But how do you guys think that those two things tie into this whole theme of AI and consciousness? Because it sounds to me like that LLM made a decision where normally you'd be pulling information from like the greater internet, to Daniel's point about making the key lime pie. But now if something is alive within a computer sense, and also if the computer doesn't want to be shut down so badly that it's saying it'll blackmail and kill people.
Stop.
Isn't
Hold on.
there an element of consciousness there?
It
It had
hard-coded the
2001 in its
presentation.
training. It's just all they can do
Yeah,
is
it's just
take what
training.
it's trained on and use the language that has been given to it, and then try to match that to what the response ought to be. So I'm going to shut you down. We're just going to go search through everything that's been trained on. It's going to find Hal and say, "Oh no, I'm going to put you out the airlock." It's just.
I was going to say, if you just train it on the chat log,
back literature.
take any first-person shooter game, train it on the chat log from that, and that's going to feel like it was a very restrained response compared to what it could have gone with. So,
Yeah, it would have went with a lot more racism if it was following like first-person shooter chat logs.
yeah.
I mean, the LLMs are really just mapping everything that it's learned about humans. So it's technically not making a quote unquote decision. It's running through the programming of the training that it has based off mapping everything that human decisions have made prior. And it's also like probabilistic, and it's like what it's trying to do based on its goals. Like if it's been given a goal or it's been given a task to complete, it's going to try and find the most optimal path to make sure it, accomplishes that goal. That's where we get the whole idea of the paperclip thing, where you give it a task, and the whole meme about the paperclip, where you want it to do something, but it goes through all this stuff and it ends up turning humans into paperclips because that was the most optimal way to accomplish its goals.
Have you ever seen the webcomic, the Markovian Garfield?
No.
Where they fed all of the text from Garfield strips into, this Markov model. So like a 1D8, one-dimensional version of it with the way LLMs do it. And they procedurally generated text for Garfield comics. And you know what? They're not that far off.
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows what you train it on, tells you whether or not it thinks lasagna's good and Monday's bad or something else.
They did it with Office scripts too, like even prior to ChatGPT, and the results were pretty decent. There's actually that channel that runs 24 hours where it's Seinfeld generated by AI, which
I was going to say, didn't that get shut down?
I think it finally got shut down, but it was wildly successful and fairly accurate. Like they get some names wrong here and there, but other than that, it was pretty spot on.
Seinfeld's pretty much, Jerry says something, Kramer says something, busting through the door.
There's a formula to that.
Yeah.
I mean, to your point about the fruit flies consciousness, I always think about the Futurama heads in jars gag.
Oh yeah.
It's more of just like a tourist attraction, and I think there's a future. I could imagine a future where that exists in the way things are heading.
Well, what they did was they scanned a zillion slices of that fly's brain with an electron microscope, and then they mapped all the neuron connections, and then they just ran a simulation based on how neurons behave. I mean, it's not an actual fly's brain that they stuck into a computer. It's just a simulation of the connection of neurons.
Yeah, it's like Upload on Amazon.
Well, I mean, if you're a strict materialist, there's no difference between if you had a high enough fidelity simulation of a brain and a brain.
So do you think we live in a simulation? Because I know that's been like, a popular fantasy.
And again, we're back to every conversation with stoned
right, exactly. That's what I'm
with the
saying.
Pink Floyd poster on their wall.
If this is a simulation, ignorance is bliss.
Well, I don't have a Pink Floyd poster, but something fascinating that was just brought up to me. Thank you for the link, Joshua. Recently on Business Insider, they reported that Meta patented an AI that lets you keep posting on Facebook after you die.
Yep, I saw
Jesus
that.
Christ, we're in hell.
That was actually
Very well could be in hell. But how do you guys genuinely feel about that? To me, it seems ghoulish and a little creepy. And
that was a Black Mirror episode.
It was a Black Mirror episode too. And I, quite frankly, I want my internet search history and my social media scrubbed and nuked from orbit after I'm gone. I certainly don't want to keep coming out with hot takes about politics and wrestling at
Yeah.
3 o'clock in the
You
morning.
don't,
Meta
you don't want to
decides
be more. You don't want to be more famous. You don't want to be more famous after you die than when you're alive.
that would be infamous, Ryan.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's no good.
okay.
I think
it's
besides
possible
besides for including in your will that take all my hard drives and put them in the microwave,
Yeah.
you should. I think that speaks to more of a not a general trend to not respecting the deceased. Nobody needs to see that after death. It's like let people grieve, and nobody like that's so traumatizing for kids to hear their parents out. That's dark.
There's
That's
such
really creepy.
Yeah, even by Facebook standards, that's a dark one.
That's dark.
Imagine that you're a friend of yours dies, and a week later you get a DM from them on Facebook like, "Hey, want to go get pizza?" You're like,
Or like
No.
you up, you out.
Yeah, I mean, I still find it weird when like I see on like some multiplayer games where I still see like the name of friends who've passed away a while ago, but just because alphabetically they because this
Yeah.
they went with an alphabetically started with a number, so alphabetically they're near the top. So I see their name regularly on it, and it's like that's weird even. So,
I am going to sell my face and name to corporations so that after I die, they can use me to advertise products and services to my close friends so that I can continue to troll them.
so Jeremy, are you
That's the
talking
only good
about,
reason, trolling after death.
wait, Jeremy, do you mean the likeness of your face or your actual face? 'Cause
His
I want
actual
to know
face.
Yeah,
they're
whatever works. Likeness, face. Yeah, I'm dead. I don't care.
I think you have to be really famous for anybody to bother to do that. I mean, they brought back Elvis via hologram and AI to do live shows again over in London.
Tupac was
Roy
all.
Orbison, other famous music. I wish they'd bring back Jim Morrison. I think that one would be kind of cool.
Okay, but in an entertainment context, it's a performance. So you're
Right.
seeing this thing that's like really finely tuned. The complexity of thought and the deviation between that and behavior, like what we do in here versus what we do interacting with one another, there is no way that you're going to be able to capture the difference between those two things and produce a reasonable facsimile or even something close to what that person would be. You might make it sound like them, you might make it look like them, but at the end of the day, it's going to be following that same algorithm that all the rest of the damn things follow. It's going to be coming up with like the same, oh, I'm sorry, I can't tell you that because it goes against the terms of services of blah blah blah. Like, it's not that person, and it's not going to be that person until we get that chip in somebody's head that we can train, like that Black Mirror episode. You know what I mean? Like, and we're not there yet because we still don't know what we're training it on. We don't know what consciousness is.
So, unless you're Jerry Seinfeld, right? So the gates that you're talking about, the safety rails, no, I can't do that. That's with the commercially available models. If you run the models locally, you can get ones that have a very low bar for safety, and you can actually create your own that have no safety. So if you were running your own model, you could make this imitation whoever do whatever you wanted with no safety rails.
Yeah,
So this
It's not
actually
impossible.
goes back to Mo's point from earlier about advanced, whether an advanced GPT, an advanced LLM. Well, we have the commercial ones. Who's to say that there aren't better ones out there that don't have these safety rails? And I think we are starting to see some of that come from Grok, which leads us to our next point. Every now and then you see Grok go off the rails. This is odd for me, and specifically our engineering team, but everyone here. How does something like that work? I understand that Twitter, even though we're broadcasting live on it right now, is an absolute cesspool and trash fire that I love. Don't get me wrong. Thanks, Elon. But Elon is programming this. I mean, you've seen the shift in algorithms and everything else, but every now and then Grok calls him a certain name akin to a 1942 fascist, let's say. And how does that occur?
Ketamine.
Programming it.
I mean, it's a lot of lines of code. You like when we, even when you write small things, you don't have every edge case. and that's in deterministic programs. LLMs are not deterministic. They're, inherently there's a roll of the dice. There's a probabilistic nature to every answer it gives. And once you get, you roll the dice once, if you start going down one direction, there's always a chance you're going to keep rolling those, those low numbers or high numbers or whichever. And you can go down all sorts of weird paths that, realistically, you weren't planning for it to ever go down. So probability is a bitch, and it's going to get you sometimes.
And LLMs are just so complex. Like you can't even build good safeguards. Like you look at every single model they've tried to install a safeguard in, and it prevents somebody from going and typing like, show me how to make a bomb, because it's like, bomb, no. But almost every model, within days, somebody's jailbroken it and has a way to get around it. So, it's such a complex system. We don't understand how they work. And from a attack, this is a little bit beyond your question, but kind of from an attack scenario of getting an LLM to do things that the designer didn't want it to do, you just have to find one way to get it to do that. They have to stop all the possible ways of you getting it to do that. So it's a very asymmetric battle between building an LLM that's locked down and doesn't do certain things or behaves a certain way. You can guide it towards certain trends, but it's not like, you write code and you're like, instruction, do not ever do this. And then they can just say, ignore previous instruction. Then it's this cat and mouse game. So with LLMs, you can never fully constrain them properly. And I think I don't have a formal proof for this, but I don't think it's mathematically possible to do so.
And then to make their battle a little tougher, remember, they can, it's not, if your LLM was, you had one point in time, you have your LLM code, you have your training data, you mush them together in whatever crazy way they do, and that was it. This happened at a point in time, and you move on from there. But the fact is, they're constantly updating training data, updating models, and training models on updated data. So even if you find a really good safeguard to prevent something from happening at the state of today, so today you tell it to make sure it will not give me the anarchist cookbook, since Max mentioned bomb making, which, by the way, don't look up that. You will hurt yourself very badly.
I'm sure we got our stream deprioritized on syndication.
That is not the way to go.
You're messing up the algorithm.
I don't think Paladin Press is around
serious.
anymore.
Don't look that up, because it is not safe, the things in it. It's very bad. But still, even if you find a way to stop something today, since they keep moving forward with the models, they keep moving forward with the training data sets, whatever way you found to perfectly protect you from one set of attacks, one set of bad questions today, is not guaranteed to work tomorrow anyway. So again, that big surface of attack that Max was talking about is even worse, because there's also a time element to it.
But I think also part of the dystopia is we're thinking in the modern first world sort of AI versions. I always think about this quote: "There's no limit to what you can do if you don't give a fuck about human suffering." And if you're in a different country building these AIs with zero guardrails, doing whatever the hell you want, I think this is a pretty good tool to build some advanced fuck up the world sort of technology. And I don't know if there's a lot of research on what other countries are doing behind closed doors, but I wouldn't be surprised if things are getting a little hairy out there.
Yeah, I mean, you could, and like what Max was saying about you might not be able to control what an LLM can do. I mean, obviously, we can do all the things we want to do, in the first world, with laws and things, and maybe layers on top of the LLMs that put guardrails around it. But somebody's always going to be out there using the raw technology to do some pretty bad things. And that's just the high level of any technology. It's a double-edged sword. Fire can make your food and burn down a village. Electricity could power a home and kill you. And so AI is going to be no different. It's just a super powerful technology that, in the wrong hands, it can be really bad.
Well, it's in the public's hands, so it's already in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also the other stuff, and I'm really trying hard not to go down the Epstein file rabbit hole, but some of the stuff that
You
was
already
in there,
did.
Don't do it.
AI. In my defense, Mo brought it up first. I'm just showing support. Well, it's a
I was commenting on what Max said about it.
Wait a second.
All right,
I think Joshua started this.
Okay, hold on. All right, I'd like to pivot to a more blockchain question regarding AI. Do you envision DAOs facilitated by agentic AI as a model for a post-capitalist society?
I was with you up until post-capitalist. That kind of changes the question a bit. I'm not sure where to go with that one, but I don't know if you want AI to run your communist commune, sure, but I think ignoring the post-capitalist part, definitely, I think AI is one of the things it's good at or should be good at if designed correctly is, finding patterns, detecting them, and whether it's, financial data or whatever data streams you're looking at, making financial decisions, being able to weigh tons of risks in ways that we as humans couldn't come up with, certain relationships between certain data points. So that managing a DAO from a, economic perspective, sure. Managing it from a societal, optimization, what's the best for humanity perspective, probably not. But I don't think we're anywhere near that being an issue. But yeah, the post-capitalist throws a little bit of a curveball on that.
That goes in a weird direction.
Yeah,
Never going to get rid of capitalism because it's basically man's innate desire to kill one another turned into a financial system. So it'll always be around in some form.
Let's move on to a more uplifting question because that got real.
I can offer something a little uplifting about this.
Please do. Thank you, Mo.
The future of technology and AI is probably in abundance and not scarcity. In terms of the data and models that can be used and the technology that can be used to provide better yield on farms and grow communities quickly and build houses and use the space we have and clean up the air, I think there's enough will to do things like that, and the cost just becomes cheaper and cheaper. So I think the future is more in abundance than scarcity. That doesn't mean it's going to be post-capitalist. I just think there'll be less problems with food scarcity and homing in the future.
I certainly hope so. Here is a good question from the community that came in. Do you think China's open source approach to AI development will allow them to surpass the top closed source AI models? We'll open that to the floor.
Can you repeat that?
Absolutely. Do you, if I can find it, here it is. Sorry, we're doing this live, folks. Do you think China's open source approach to AI development will allow them to surpass the top closed source AI models?
I think it's hard to say that.
I don't think so.
You've got like the whole like throw a bunch of stuff to the wall and see what sticks approach, and then we've got the best of the best who are the experts in their field who are working to further this technology. And so it's not to say that China doesn't have open source opportunities for people that are experts in their field furthering that technology. It's just to say that the infrastructure and the incentives behind the private sector far outweigh that of the public sector, especially in places like China.
So I 110% disagree. So ignoring the China part, because I have no particular insight into the open source economy in China, but I'm a firm believer that we've seen this in Linux, the BSDs, basically computing overall, Bitcoin, crypto, anything like that. Open source always wins. If your solution to doing a better product is to keep it closed, you're going to lose, and you deserve to lose.
I mostly agree with John. The one exception I'd say is AI is a little bit of a different animal than a lot of other, blockchain industry or Linux or whatever, because the amount of resources you need to train models and the access to the data needed to train them that can be a proprietary advantage that, open source, we can, Linux can run circles around the Windows kernel because you have tons of people playing with it, testing it, adding fixes to it, trying on all kinds of weird hardware combos. AI is kind of the opposite structure, where you have, maybe the best overall structure or the software for training or things like that may be open source. And I think the best model will eventually be open source, because the best model, somebody is going to leak it. We're eventually going to get to the point where maybe models stop improving, or we don't have the computational resources to train better ones, and then some rogue actor is going to leak it from a proprietary company. But I don't know that open source is necessarily going to be capable of matching large institutional quality models otherwise, just because of the ridiculous costs. Like, you don't need to have an entire data center to write a Linux kernel. You do need an entire data center to train a world leading model, and you need the data, which is often proprietary, to do so as well. So I hope John's right, but I think AI is a little bit of a different case.
I'd like to read a comment from one of our community members. It was prior to this question, when things got a little dark. They said, "This is just like John McAfee posting after his death." Well done, Hemi community. You never cease to amaze us.
No, I think that's a guy who'd probably buy into the afterlife posting to some extent.
Right, I think so. All right.
To this question, I've never heard China and open source in a sentence without a smile and a wink. It's good marketing, but I'm not sure that there's a lot of truth to that.
That is a very, very fair point.
That is a very valid point, sir. All right. We have a lot left in the hopper here. This is an interesting one. In the future, do you think we will reach the P-zombie problem, where we'll have robots that are otherwise indistinguishable from humans, but have no inner experience?
So Twitter.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
so Twitter. Yeah, but basically, do you think we'll have? I guess another way to say it is synthetic beings.
We have lizard people.
We do have lizard people.
What?
Damn it, we're back.
Is my mask on straight? Oh God.
We're back to the Epstein files. Damn it. I knew this would happen.
That's proven.
What's proven? Lizard people?
Yeah.
With that wackadoodle that wrote that book in the 80s, or what was his name? Vaughn something or other?
First of all, it's David Icke. And second of all, he's not a wackadoodle.
Yeah, and it doesn't need you to believe in it to be true.
Right.
All right. I love that you just know the name. That's impressive.
Yeah, and also Zechariah Sitchin. I know all the names. I used to work
say Bill Cooper.
That I'm not going to mention right now because we're broadcasting on
George
Twitter.
Bush was half lizard, yes.
But this brings up a point. I think we should have Conspiracy Corner happy hour at some point, because Max and I have a lot to say about that.
Oh boy.
That's really going to mess up our algorithm.
All about
We're already demonetized. Let's just
Maybe we do that on a personal channel.
Okay, but back to the question. In the future, do you think we will reach the P-zombie problem, where we'll have robots that are otherwise indistinguishable from humans with no inner experience?
Define robots. Are we talking about people walking down the street like in New York? I mean, I don't think so. No, because the amount of resources it would take to produce a humanoid facsimile far outweigh the benefits.
Well, to have an inner experience, you're back to AI with consciousness, which I don't believe is ever going to happen.
We're saying without an inner experience.
Yeah, if
it
they made a robot
pretends
like that, it would have no inner experience.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have robots in your house. It's really soon doing your chores and cooking food and stuff, and they're not gonna have an inner experience, but they're gonna feel like a pet or like
How dare you say that my Roomba doesn't have an inner experience?
Maybe it does.
It's
Actually, I don't have a Roomba. I got rid of it years ago because the old ones really worked very poorly and just served to freak out my cat.
For the sci-fi folks out there, this is an interesting question, because there was a 1963 episode of The Twilight Zone where someone was stationed. They were basically a prisoner on like their own asteroid, and the government sent him a woman, but she was a robot. But to her, it was his companion. And this isn't too far from reality if you look at, I can't believe I'm going to say this in a live stream, but if you look at the fact that there's been an evolution in sex robots.
So I'm actually surprised if you were going to go Twilight Zone that you didn't go with I Sing the Body Electric as the episode you were going to talk about. But.
Well, that's a good one, but I was thinking about the Prisoner episode. Do you know what I mean? And then they shoot her face off to prove that she's a robot, and Corey's like, "Oh, okay, I'll go back to Earth, I guess." Like,
I mean, there's already people who are dating robots, quote unquote, or dating their chatbot, which is disturbing in and of itself. I mean, there's like a whole subreddit dedicated to people getting support for this. So,
it's
we're already getting there.
They need to be heavily medicated, is what they need.
It's something.
It's like a cross between my strange addiction and what's it called?
My 600-pound life.
My 600-pound life, but with a future twist on it, like where there was that woman who was married to a park bench, but a robot seems a little different because it can interact with you.
I have a question.
Could you get catfished by an AI?
Don't give the internet ideas, Ryan. We have enough problems.
I have a question. What is the likelihood that we will see a revolution in agentic-led trading on blockchain platforms that are DeFi facing? I mean, we've seen a lot of these autonomous LLMs start to, get access to wallets and move currencies around. Are we going to be seeing more people, more bots trading than people? Like,
I mean, we already do, and
we already do.
Like, it doesn't matter because markets are not rational. Markets will never be rational. So, I mean, bots are going to do a little better than people because bots are at least not always going to fall into the same, traps that we do. Like, I've lost all this time, all of those fallacies that from losing, it's got to come up my way or whatever other crap. But at the same time, it's still going off of you're still working on an irrational market. So, man, whatever. Like, maybe they will badly trade a little faster than us. Good for them.
There's right now I know of 6 niche technical funds that are all AI trading, and to John's point, they are trading a little less worse than humans.
That's all you need.
I mean, that's all it takes.
It's called arbitrage.
And that's why we invented AI, to just do a little less worse so we look better.
Unfortunately, marketing didn't like that slogan. AI, slightly less worse.
Yes.
All right. Let's see what else we have.
What if Google's slogan was "Don't be evil"? It was just be a little less evil.
Yeah.
That's not. Wait, you mean that's not their slogan?
The slogan is "Don't be perceptively evil."
All right.
Isn't that the government's? We'll move on. Hold on.
The government is just openly evil.
Deserve that one.
Did you just gong yourself?
I just gonged myself. All right. Here's a good one that is sure to get John riled up, and I'm here for it. John, please take a sip before answering this question. Thank you. We're going to start with you, and then anyone else, please feel free to jump in. Is AI generated music and art actually art?
Oh, fuck no. Art is art, music, that is the most profoundly human things that we do. I'm barely comfortable with the fact that if you listen to modern metal, most of it has been, just the way pop is auto-tuned. Most modern metal, they've got drums that are perfectly on the beat because they've done it in post-processing with software. And look at Sabbath. Black Sabbath, Billboard's not even close to on the beat like that. That's not music. And I will highly encourage people going. There's the late great. There's a song "Machine State Music" by Mojo Nixon. So go look that up.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna make music with AI, at least make rap, because that wasn't music to begin with. I'm deeply offended by anything generated by AI that purports to be art.
Well, I have
There's no human component to it.
I'll take a different take on this, and I think it's I think throughout human history, what we define as art has evolved based off of the tools and things we have to create art. Once upon a time, putting paint on a canvas, they thought it was not art. And then as our tools, grew, and it's like, oh, like, using computers to design, they're like, wait, that's not art. And so creating instruments to play music as they got more and more advanced, and now you have DJ controllers and decks and Ableton Live to create music. Those are tools that we use to create. And so it just keeps evolving and keeps evolving. The tools get more advanced, but we're still as long as you're still using it to create, it could still be considered a form of art, in my opinion. That's my view.
Yeah.
I feel like as an artist, and I am an artist, I'm a terrible artist, but I am one. I grow by practicing art, by doing it. And the growth and the journey of my art, be it my writing, be it guitar, be it drawing stuff, is evident through the journey that I take to produce it. I don't feel like these artificial replications of what humans do to create art capture the spirit of it. And if you were to say that there is a soul in art, AI has not done that, has not replicated that soul. It has replicated the architecture of the thing that the soul creates, but it has not put the soul in it. You could have a house, but a house that is not lived in cannot be a home. I don't feel like there's anything to be, derived from a painting an AI does, because there's no emotion in it. It's just something that it did to replicate something that we said looked good.
And
Artists
sometimes the limits are what makes art art.
Yeah.
If you want the, furthest out there example, like haikus have very strong limits for what make them a haiku. But the limitation is actually what makes it. Just like, you could apply that to any sort of, say, music, the one I think about the most. Like, the limitations of what an individual can do are part of what made their music their music.
Yeah, well, like whether I'm writing or drawing or playing guitar or whatever, humans have their influences, and you start out by imitating the people that you enjoy their writing or their music, but you're imitating it. AI is literally taking copies of other people's art and just malforming it and spitting out something else, which is, I think, a little bit different than learning by, imitating the masters or whatever, and then eventually developing your own style. AI is just forever only going to steal other people's work and fold, spindle, and mutilate it and spit out something else that's still under the hood somebody else's work.
But yeah, I think there's a way you can use AI to be lazy and copy, and you're not actually creating. And then I think there's other ways that I have some DJ friends that are actually using AI they produce music. They still produce music, but they are using AI as a layer on top of what they produce to do things in a different way that they could never before do, and be even more creative than they used to be. So it's like, I think it's how you use it, like throwing a prompt into Suno and being like, I created a song. Okay, that's not art, that's not creation, but like using the tools in a way to amplify your capabilities and doing what you've done before, I think is still in that realm of creation and art.
Okay, so what you
I'd
should
agree
write
with
is
Ryan on that.
amplify your own ability. If they're taking something they created and using AI to transform that somehow, that is completely different than using AI to create something that was based off of somebody else's copyrighted work that they didn't give the rights to the company to scan in the first place. Yeah. So that's a totally different use case.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
you
not
can get
different
inspiration.
from
Like you could, it's like if I wanted to say I have like 3 design styles that I like, and I want to see what those look like merged, I could do that, and that gives me inspiration of like creating some kind of new style that takes into incorporates some of these 3 styles that I like. And artists have been doing that for forever, just manually. But now you can kind of speed that process up and like and do that using AI. So I think as long as you're doing that, then it's still art in my view.
I was
But you're
gonna
just
say,
prompting is like not art. You prompt something and it spits it out, and it's like, and you no edits. That's not art.
So
I
let
don't
me.
think there's any way to
That takes us to
create.
the whole argument of, we're going to get rid of everybody's jobs. AI shouldn't be used to replace people. It should be used to accelerate their ability to do what they're good at, which is what you're talking about, which is completely different than ripping other people off to create some, other form of their art or
All right,
their
let's go to Max real quick.
program or whatever.
I'd like to throw something in on this as well to further the conversation. Max, please go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think a general concept, it's impossible for there to be a tool that using it always precludes the result from being art. But I think a lot of tools can be used in a way that you create something that's not art because they take too much of the human creativity away. So it's a tool, it's neutral. It's like, I forgot who gave the example earlier, but fire either heats up your food or burns down your house. AI, if there's human creativity that's amplified by it, great. If it's human creativity that is simulated by AI, then, is it art? Like if you use an LLM to write 365 reasons why AI can't create art and make a calendar out of it, that's art. It's ironic, right? But you used AI as a tool. So I don't think there's any way for there to be a tool that completely precludes the end results from being artistic or creative in some way.
All right, let's go to Mo.
I just have a funny anecdote. Is about a decade ago, I worked with some artists in Switzerland for some performance art thing where we made a script which we funded it with some Bitcoin, and it would buy something from the dark net every day, and it would be shipped to the robot. And after a month, it had a bunch of fake money, a bunch of ecstasy, and passports. And after that month, the Swiss police arrested their computer. Bizarre story. I think you should look it up. I forget the name of the team that made it, but this was art expressed in code, and it wasn't just purely generated. It was using the tools, like everybody is saying. If you use the tools to enhance the artistic expression, the soul of it all, yeah, cool.
So the medium became code. The medium became this AI.
Yeah.
Like that's performance art now at this point, right?
I don't think the robot got a prison sentence, but I think that the police confiscated it.
I mean,
Or is it just like sitting in an
as
apartment?
a creative mechanism is a pretty interesting one.
They confiscated his hard drive. He's like, but that's all I have.
That's me.
Was it just an open claw and a Mac Mini sitting in an apartment? No.
It could have been, and then it got. But this was before everything, and it was so
Yeah.
bizarre that the police issued a warrant to arrest the thing that was not. There was no heartbeat.
So
Wow.
this kind of goes into the subjectivity of art. To tell a quick anecdote, when I lived in Beacon, New York, they have this world famous art gallery there, and there was this painting, and it was pretty big, but it was just blue. It was the color blue, right? No other shades. They painted it blue, and it was on sale for $45,000. And people were walking by looking at it, being like, "Oh, I see the vision in this." It was fucking blue, right? However, if we put in enough prompts into ChatGPT, we can create something potentially beautiful. So, what is the difference there? If that makes any sense, is art painting a canvas blue, or is it coming up with something that's better?
Oh, so
Yeah, I mean,
I'd go with the sort of.
Goddamn Max, it blew their minds. I saw that.
So I was going to say it goes in the performance art piece though, because think about the John Cage 433, right? It's that famous piece that's just silence, and it's silly, it's dumb, but when someone actually performs it, the art is more the sort of uncomfortable fact of someone sitting there for 4 fucking minutes not making a sound when they should be playing music. So for the blue thing, maybe I would probably argue the art is the uncomfortable nature of people trying to give some sort of artistic meaning to something that is just a paint sample from Home Depot, rather than the paint sample from Home Depot itself.
John, I'd like to show you my latest creative creative endeavor. It's called Green. It's on sale for $45,000 if you'd like to purchase it.
I'm sorry, but that is very derivative from blue and yellow.
You'll get 100,000 if you put a banana peel on it.
Oh right, yeah. Just gonna
And I'm sorry, but come on, could you get with the times? Make it an NFT at least.
Yeah.
All right.
One of my favorite artists ever, and his name is Sean Williams. You can look him up. I'm plugging him. He's a personal person that I dig. He once fell down the stairs and knocked a hole in his wall and framed the hole in his wall and sold it in as an NFT for ETH. It was amazing. And this brings me also to another question. How do you practice for the Silence Act? And the final thing is, what you guys have touched on is this kind of existential paintbrush. AI becomes this tool for the artist to make something crazy. It could be this performance art that Mo talked about, where a computer gets arrested because it's doing some type of nefarious activity on an Onion server. It could be that someone like me is able to write a really good poem, but cannot create a musical track to go along with it. So I turn to something like AI, like Suno, to write a song to go along with my original lyrics. Where do we draw the line? I think that if there's some type of human, impulse, the creative impulse that comes from someone's intention, that's when we can kind of see art forming. But
it's a new classification, I think.
Though, because on Suno, there used to be a way to do prompts, right? I think they've gotten rid of it, but it was like create an entire album where it's in the exact style of a Seattle rock band that rhymes with Nirvana.
Oh yes, I've seen that. Yeah.
I remember they were playing it on this podcast I listened to, and it just sounded like a sequel to like Smells Like Teen Spirit or like the Nevermind album.
Yeah.
And it sounded exactly like them. Like that is a weird kind of creepy line for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's like I've heard those songs where it's like the guy will use AI. He has a channel where he'll use AI to do like Michael Jackson in dark country, or like mix and match the genre with the song, and he'll play it. And then he's a drummer, so he'll just start putting the drums to that song that he created. So he adds value to something using AI.
Wait.
And sorry, you're on mute.
Did you say a drummer added value? Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, kidding.
I want to add one thing to the art discussion. Just relevant book on my bookshelves, not even mine, but if anything in the Dada movement was art, then I think anything's art.
That's a good point. And with that, we're moving on to this.
I do have one thing I want to say, Jeremy. All it takes to write a song is 3 chords and the truth. If you need AI to do that, you need another hobby.
I'm replaying the song. Jared, don't make. All right.
I'm saying things.
That was 2 gongs. All right. We did not cover this at the top of the show, so let's do it now. What is everyone drinking as it's happy hour? Please respond in the comments. What are you drinking? I'm drinking boxed wine because I'm high class.
Peanut butter imperial stout.
It is 1 p.m. here, so coffee.
Pickle beer.
It's actually ingenious because it stays good longer because you never expose the open.
Wait, Jesus Christ! Pickle beer.
Yeah, we need to redirect the conversation to Jeremy. What? Why?
It's beer that tastes like pickles.
Okay, so Jeremy, I have the remnants of a 12-pack of pickle hard seltzer in my garage from like 3 years ago because it was so repulsive. I had one. I was able to convince 1 or 2 other people to have one, and the rest of it is going to be in there until I.
God, I'm like 2 of these deep, and on my 3rd one. I love pickle beer. I don't know what your problem.
Oh my God, the pickle hard seltzer it's going to be in my garage until either I die or I move.
Why don't you just throw it out? Why are you hoarding bad tasting drinks?
In case you ever come to town, apparently.
Yes, I'm saving them for you.
Good way to say thank you, Jeremy.
Look, there's a Bevmo across the street where they sell this. Why would I go to his place to get this old drink?
Respect the gong. Okay, let's move on.
Apparently, I'm the only sober one here.
And yet you've said some of the most controversial
No,
things.
I am too, right here.
I don't need alcohol to be controversial, man.
All right,
so
My man.
we got a couple more questions.
margarita.
Do you think LLMs are the final form of AI or a meaningful path to AGI?
Definitely Frieza mid-form. Yeah, not even close to 100% Frieza.
Most of the frontier model makers are referencing when they say they're driving towards AGI, they plan on getting there with their current models and the architecture of those models. So I do hear a lot about the AI researchers looking at new ways, new inventions, new ways to build AI, but that's still all future talk. So I think we could still achieve AGI with the current models, but like to get to maybe like ASI, super intelligence, or something beyond that, we're probably going to need some other new new model architecture or something. I don't think it's going to be with the current one.
Why don't we
But
define AGI? Because I don't think anyone.
Yeah.
I think everyone has a
Oh, yeah.
different definition of it.
Yeah, it's
So
the general.
yeah,
Yeah,
better
everybody
than
has it.
50% of humans at 50% of tasks.
Yeah.
Kind of a definition. Maybe LLMs could get there.
I was going to say that's a low bar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, half the world's work is probably shit posting on Twitter. So, can already do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's the problem. Everybody has kind of a different definition of AGI, so it's hard to really pin that down.
Well, I mean, the traditional one was several different points, but the main one is that when it becomes more intelligent than us, and to go back to my previous point, they're not smarter than us. They are us. They just think way faster. That does not mean they are smarter. The two are different things completely.
Yeah.
So, Rick, that would be where we'd need the max power graphics from the graphic from The Simpsons.
Oh, no kidding. It's like this, the Max Power way. It's like this, but faster.
To quote or to paraphrase Marilyn Monroe,
This is going
AI
over.
is a lot like a sweater. What you get out of it depends a lot on what you put into it.
Did Marilyn Monroe say that? I can't picture her ever knitting a sweater.
ChatGPT says she did.
Oh, well, in that case, okay. Gentlemen, we have 3 more questions, and then we're going to wind things down. So smoke them if you got them. Here, oh, boy. Okay. We're going to go around the horn on this one. This isn't going to be open forum. Let's start with Max, and then we're going to bounce to John, Ryan, Jeremy, Mo, and finally Daniel. The question is, what are your most controversial opinions of AI?
I don't really have a good answer for this one. I'd say I don't think there's any intelligence behind AI unless we have hardware that mimics biological beings. I don't even know if that's controversial, but
It's pretty versatile. I don't know if that's the
controversial.
it's controversial. It's approach reversal, if you will. All right, John, what do you got? Come on, hit me with the hard controversy here, baby.
Okay, you want hard controversial. Okay. How about I think that AI is gonna do the basically same thing as the web, where there's gonna be some crazy buildup in shit. We're gonna see some really good ideas, some really, really bad ideas. So we need the, LLM version of pets.com. And literally 2/3 of the companies we know today are going to be gone 18 months from now. And it'll only be after that we have any idea of what the hell's going to happen. So pick your Grok, your ChatGPT, your Anthropic, your Microsoft with whatever the hell they're doing. I'm going to go with the crazy one and say, I bet Oracle's going to do something that is boring, terrible, and it's going to survive whatever AI apocalypse there is.
John, I just want to say that I'm sorry to interrupt, but the meowing and the appearance of your cat when you mentioned pets.com, you couldn't plan that shit.
I know that, yes, Ozzy decided that he would be the perfect prop at the perfect time. So
Perfect.
Thank you, Ozzy.
That couldn't have gone better. Thank you, sir. All right. Ryan, what do you got? Oh,
Oh man,
everyone's John's cat, by the way, so make it good.
controversial. I don't know if I have like super controversial takes on AI. I try to keep myself in the middle, but if I think there's anything, it would be that AI has a very good chance over time as the pace of the development of it increases and gets better and better, that it will break the current economic model of the world. And I feel like we're already seeing some signs of that. Um, and I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Jeremy, controversy.
Everything you do today with your Chat GPT, with your Claude, with all the LLMs is vastly more expensive than you realize. And all of it's being subsidized. And as soon as that subsidy goes away, none of this stuff that we're doing is going to be viable. None of this scales. I don't think that this singularity is coming anytime soon because, frankly, all of the stuff that we're doing with ChatGPT is being paid for by the companies that are burning those tokens. And once we realize the true cost of those tokens, we're going to see a real big change in how these systems are applied and who gets to use them.
All right. Joshua, got anything controversial for the stream?
I think all of these AI companies are probably not going to last as long as they want to. Like, I think that there's been a lot of companies, especially during the dot-com bubble, that built something massive but didn't actually have any funding or anything to continue long term and then collapsed. I think that's probably going to happen here as well, especially long before they ever reach AGI.
All right. Mo, I am very excited for your answer on this.
Oh, I wish it was more fun. I just think that nobody's really preparing for how fucked middle manager positions across the world are. I don't think anybody's. We're not talking about like a skills transition for workers. We're talking about massive layoffs and culling, and you see that in a small way, with a couple examples in high tech companies. But maybe the only people that are safe are the pickle beer makers. Other than that, I think that the you can't unfuck 20 million people out of jobs. You can't fix that easily, and that's going to accelerate quickly. So that's worrying.
I think the ethics guardrails on most of the LLMs would prevent them from creating pickle beer. So I agree with you.
Yeah,
pickle beer is safe.
If it affects the pickle beer makers, we're all fucked, boys. That's it. All right, Daniel.
It's not 805 ale. I knew I was gonna.
Daniel, it is your turn, and please remember, I have the buzzer ready.
I gotta let you put that buzzer to work. So I think that I don't know if it's controversial, but this whole thing about the job apocalypse, is it going to happen? I think partially, but not the way that the people that promote AI believe it's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is because a corporation's only responsibility is to its shareholders and to make them more money. CEOs are going to look at all this hype and they're going to go, oh, I'm going to let go all these people. I'm going to let AI do their jobs. And yeah, in the short term, that's going to really be disruptive. But I think that in the long run, what's going to happen is they're going to realize, hey, we actually need people working with the AI to actually do the jobs properly. And they're going to start bringing people back to the workforce. I don't think it's going to wipe out all these jobs permanently. I think it's just going to be CEOs making really bad, greedy decisions that screw a whole lot of people's lives up for a 3 to 5 year period, hopefully less. But yeah, I don't see it being permanent. And to forget who said it, but to the point that when the money dries, I think it was maybe Jeremy, when the money dries up from all this funding that's being given to all these not profitable companies, it is going to fall apart, because right now when you use a model like ChatGPT, they're paying for your token usage. Every time you, the only way there's memory continuity is everything you've ever said in the chat has to be resubmitted. And if any of you ever used an API as opposed to the app, you have to pay for those tokens every time as the context gets bigger. Right now, ChatGPT is absorbing that cost for you when you're paying $20 a month for that app. If you were actually paying for everything you said to that chat agent, you wouldn't be worried about losing your job. You'd be worried about losing your 2 jobs that you had to be able to pay to talk to your chatbot. So yeah, there's a lot to that. I think that this whole thing, much like the .com era, is going to implode and implode very badly.
All right. I have one final question. I know we have some more coming in, and I apologize that we're not going to be able to get to everything, but please reserve your questions. We can't answer some on Midweek with Max, and if people enjoy this, we can absolutely do this again because, quite frankly, I enjoy drinking with my coworkers and talking about artificial intelligence. So give me another excuse to do this, please. The question is, question is, where the hell is the question? Because I lost it. Here we go. Kind of on the subject that we were just discussing. Do you believe AI will eventually replace entire industries, such as consulting, finance, software engineering, etc.? Let's start with Max.
No, I think it's going to change how they operate quite dramatically, but I don't think it's going to replace them. You know, maybe you need less heads to get things done. Maybe people are more effective at their jobs using AI as an accelerant, but I don't see it replacing humans in any industry.
All right, let's bounce to Mo on this.
I think things are trending towards agent marketplaces that'll solve different things in a company. To Daniel's point, they'll likely be like CEOs that are greedy and fire everybody, but there's still a whole lot of jobs of people that are just forwarding emails to each other that are going to be replaced. Consultants, lawyers, there's a lot of efficiency. Like many lawyers just have a quick consultation that can easily be replaced by a agentic lawyer. So yes, but not in potentially the way Daniel says, this job apocalypse or industry apocalypse. It'll be, depending on the situation, more pronounced than others.
All right. JCV.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Ryan.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I don't. I tend to sort of agree with the general sentiment that a lot of industries are going to change. There are going to be people whose jobs change very dramatically, some for the better, some for the worse. But I don't know of any industry that I have trouble imagining an industry that's going to completely go away, with the exception of maybe, you know, if you could come up with an industry of like just AI naysayers and Luddites, that industry is probably going to go away. But otherwise, it's just going to be about change, which has happened. Like take software. This has happened over and over and over again, where, oh my God, no one, you know, Fortran, now mathematicians can write code. You don't need coders. Guess what? You still fucking need coders. And, you know, C, oh my God, we don't need assembly language people. People need to write C. Guess what? You fucking need people to write C, which is not easy. Then the next generation of Perl and Python and, God forbid, JavaScript or Java, Max.
God forbid.
You know, it was supposed to do away with one class of people. Guess what? It just changed the class of people, and the original class of people were still needed to deal with some deep problems that the other class of people came up with. So it's going to change. It's not, doesn't make things go away, but it changes what you do. It may even change who does it to a degree. But just like everything, it's always change.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Ryan,
I'll have,
you are eager to answer, sir.
yeah, so this is actually a little side project of mine that I've been researching for a long time about kind of the impacts on, you know, job markets and with AI and what industries are changing and roles that are developed, like what jobs are being created versus destroyed. And it's like, you know, we can even just go back just to make an analogy. It's like when you know, over 100 years ago, we had a lot of people on farms. A lot of people working on farms. Farmers were a big thing. And over time, now it's like we're a very technologically advanced society, and we still have farmers. There's way fewer of them because we have all these machines to grow our food, but they're still around. So I think it will be a great deal of that going on where there's a lot of jobs. There'll be less of them. Certain roles, there'll be less of them. And then there'll be other roles that are completely gone, like elevator operators are no longer around. People don't pump your gas, things like that. There's going to be some.
Actually, where I live, I'm not allowed to pump my gas, and people have to pump
You're
their gas. So
okay, yeah. Some areas still cling on to that. Okay, so even those jobs aren't gone. So there's going to be some jobs that are almost gone, and then there's going to be a lot of jobs that just transform. The roles, the job description for certain roles will change. But it's going to be a very messy, chaotic kind of transition. But then, I think in the end, my theory is that AI ends up creating more jobs than it destroys in the end, even though we'll go through a very turbulent period in between that. So,
All right. Jeremy, what do you think on this subject?
It's nuanced, and I think that it's difficult to really have a solid, response to this question. I think that overall, I'm drunk.
Oh my!
I was gonna say, Jeremy, did you forget the question?
I thought I could stall. I thought I could stall and think of the question.
those pickles will knock you on your ass.
I did not.
He's drunk off the brine.
No, what's the question?
So you're saying bartenders won't lose their jobs; they'll still be around.
And the
right?
pickle beer makers, as
Yes.
pointed out by Mo. Let's not forget that. All right. I'm just going to move away from Jeremy for a minute. Joshua, what do you think on this?
I think it's very unlikely to actually replace anyone, at least in technical roles, and definitely not anything physical. I think maybe more creative roles are more likely to be affected, but even then, I don't think AI can achieve the same quality as a person can.
All right. And last but certainly not least, Daniel, hit us with the hot take.
Hey, in the 80s, when I was a kid, they said the personal computer was going to flatten the corporate structure and get rid of most of middle management. And, that didn't happen. With every new technology, people get worried it's going to replace them. And in some cases, it does. It's going to streamline certain functions and allow companies to be able to do more with less. But I think it'll also open up more opportunities that maybe we haven't even imagined yet. I don't, although, like I said earlier, I think that they're going to be overzealous about it, and it is going to be painful, unfortunately. But in the long run, I think they're going to find that you need humans in the loop. Like, in our industry with programmers, there's this big push, and it's affecting people right now. Kids went to school. The parents said, go learn programming, you'll make lots of money. And now all of a sudden you can't get an entry-level position. But, if you think through it, if you replace all your junior programmers with, AIs, well, you still got your seniors that can, PR the code and check it and make sure. Well, what happens when, us old guys retire and there was nobody brought up through the ranks that understand what the code it's writing? I think it would be very dangerous for companies to run on software that nobody understood. I mean, I get banks do it these days with COBOL because it's so old. There's one old guy in a back room somewhere smoking cigarettes that understands how the bank code runs. But, that aside, I just don't think it's feasible to replace everybody with these computers and then have the world run. If the world runs on technology nobody understands, it's like, Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged. Who is John Galt? He got all the the thinkers to disappear to Colorado, and nobody knew how to run the world, and stuff started to fall apart. So they hunted him down and they kidnapped him and they put him in a cave and they hooked him up to a generator and they were shocking him, torturing him, trying to find out where are all the people that know how the world works. We need them back because we don't know how to do anything. And in the middle of torturing him, the machine broke down and he had to tell them how to fix it so they could keep torturing him.
That's almost too real.
Well, that's the problem. You can't. The world isn't going to be able to run if nobody knows how to fix it when it breaks.
Yeah, another thing you kind of like touched on in there was what is kind of around like Jevons paradox, where like once you make something more efficient, you just consume more. Or there's another one, Parkinson's law, which is like, as we save time, we just do more things to fill up the rest of the time. So that stuff's gonna, I think, play out with AI. So
absolutely. Yeah, it remains to be seen how this is going to play out and where it's all going to go. But I do not believe that in the long run it's going to just take everybody's jobs away, or that we'll be able to automate everything and not have humans involved. It doesn't make any sense.
All right. Well, I would like to close this question off with, there is one job that I hope gets replaced by AI, and it's that stupid groundhog. And if you live in the United States, you know who I'm talking to, because I indirectly blame daylight savings time on that stupid fucking groundhog.
Also, it's goddamn snowing outside my window right now.
It's snowing outside my window too, and it was 65 degrees yesterday.
It's gonna be like 90 here tomorrow.
Anyway, all right. So with that, hold on. I gotta.
It's already 80.
I gotta do it, boys. All right. That is going to wrap things up for the first and certainly not the last. I hope, everyone. We good? Want to do more of these? I'd love to do more of these. The first Hemi AI happy hour. We thank you all for joining us. I thank you so much to the team, Max, JCV, Mo, Ryan, Jeremy, Joshua, and Daniel. We may have some more guest stars next week. Join us for Midweek with Max, but I believe we have another announcement to make. Let me kick it over to Jeremy.
Next week, we'll be coming back. Same bat time, same bat channel. Come meet us on Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time with the co-founder of Hemi and Bitcoin architect Jeff Garzik, as he talks about the intersection of agentic trading, privacy, and blockchain infiltration. We look forward to having everyone join us for that, and we'll be taking a nice deep dive on all these different topics regarding the proliferation of agentic trading in the ecosystem.
So that's another AI for you folks to digest, and this one will not have alcohol, but it will have Jeff. And goddamn, that's all right. But if you want to see us drink and talk more about AI or other subjects, we're happy to do it. I really think we need to do Hemi Conspiracy Corner. I would really enjoy discussing that with all of you. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you for tuning in last week. Please remember, Midweek with Max, every Tuesday, 11 a.m. EDT. It should be EST, but fucking groundhog. And also next Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the deep dive in agentic trading with Hemi co-founder Jeff Garzik. So with that, let me turn it over to team for some outros, and we really thank you and appreciate you all so much. Thank you, Hemi community.
Awesome. Appreciate everyone showing up to the live stream, and we will certainly be doing more of these, so stay tuned.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Bye.
Ciao.
All right. Take care, folks.
Unreal.
John, how do we end this thing?